Hi George. Today I signed into law more gun control.
What? Are you serious? This goes against the Constitution and the right to bear arms.
I do not care, just as long as we are establishing more control over our citizens.
Government was meant to be small. The power was supposed to lie with the states. The role of the federal government was for national defense and international trade and treaties. Taxes were supposed to be kept to a minimum.
Nonsense. The rich do not pay enough taxes. We only maybe collect half of their income. We just want them to pay a little more, and by a little more, we actually mean a lot more. Ha ha.
But how do you expect the economy to grow if you are taking all of the rich people's money?
That is exactly the point. We don't want the economy to grow. By taxing the hell out of the rich, they cannot employ as many people. With more people unemployed, that is more people dependent on the government for their survival.
This is not what we had in mind when we founded this country. I feel sad to see the direction this country has gone.
Unfortunately, you are too old to benefit from my socialized healthcare plan, so you cannot get a shrink for your sadness.
Whatever happened to people taking care of themselves and picking themselves up by their bootstraps? Why all these programs?
We need these programs so that people can depend on them and it becomes a way of life for them. If the people actually cared about fending for themselves, it would cause a lot of unrest as we continue to make the transition to socialism.
Why do you continue to suck up to our enemies? In my day, when the British exercised too much power on the 13 colonies, we stuck up for ourselves and fought them at every turn.
Had I been president back then, I would have done things differently. First, I would have bowed to the king. Second, I would have formed a commission to try to understand why the British didn't like us. Third, I would have tried to have a sit down with the king, and maybe get on his good side, by suggesting taxes he probably never thought of. I mean, your wealthy citizens back then could have been doing a little more, or should I say a lot more. I would have made sure we didn't get into a war, because I would feel the colonists could not stomach a war with the British. Plus, when the British continued to control our lives, I could just blame George W. Bush.
What do you have against the wealthy?
I have nothing against the wealthy. I am wealthy myself. America gave me the opportunity to better myself. Although I am wealthy, I had no problem making Mitt Romney out to be the devil because he was wealthy too. Seriously, I just want to make sure no one else has a chance to become rich. Plus, I could not tax the poor to start programs that give to the poor. I have already taxed the middle class enough, so they are poor too. So, if I want more programs, the rich is the only class left to tax. Then everybody can be poor.
It truly is sad how this country has turned out. Why did you lie to the American public about what happened in Libya?
I didn't lie to the public. Just ask anyone in the media. Well, don't ask Fox News, Rush Limbaugh or Sean Hannity though. Ha ha.
In my day, the media was honest and were there to keep government in check.
That is the benefits of special interest groups such as MoveOn.org. They can bribe the state-run television to stay in line. If that isn't enough, we have all these new taxes we are collecting to help finance our state media. But they all stay in line anyways, as they are all tree-hugging liberal scumbags who would all kill their firstborn if I asked them to. Ha ha.
I guess the saying is true, power corrupts. Whatever happened to honesty with the people?
What is honesty? You told the truth about chopping down the cherry tree. I myself would have done the following steps. First, I would have denied everything, and blamed Bush. Second, I would appoint a commission to figure out why the tree came down. Of course, this commission would be very expensive, so I would have to raise taxes to pay for it. Third, I would start a $700 billion stimulus package to cover the losses from that fallen cherry tree, and lastly have government take over the cherry tree industry.
Why do you run up such debt? In my day, we balanced our budgets. A lot of debt is bad.
Debt is not bad. Having a surplus is bad. If we do not spend the money, then that is waste. If you do not use it, you lose it. That is my motto. Look, it is not our money, we could really care less. Our grandkids will have to bear the errors of our ways. We will all be dead and gone before that happens, so we will not have to witness it. Plus, I need for the economy to totally collapse. The American people would not be so willing to become a socialist nation until we reach a crisis situation. So, my spending is going to fast-track us to poverty, and thus socialism.
Why do you keep us dependent on foreign oil? We have plenty of oil here. We do not need oil from countries that hate us.
It is true we have a lot of oil. In fact, we have over 100 times more oil than anyone outside of government knows about. On the record, we cannot drill. It is bad for the environment. Some elk in North Alaska might get confused about an oil derrick being up on the tundra and might have to walk another 50 yards to find food. Off the record, drilling for oil would have no effect whatsoever on wildlife. That is just something we say to cover the real truth. If we were to drill for our own oil, the price of oil would drop about 90%. The Republicans do not want that because they are bought off by the oil companies. Us Democrats do not want that because low oil prices helps the economy jumpstart. Good economy, no socialism.
Why do you want to have terrorists tried in civil courts? Shouldn't they be treated as enemies of the state and tried in a military tribunal?
No, we do not want to anger the terrorists. We do not want to spike the football. The terrorists do not like us. They see us as a big nation who exerts their power on the rest of the world. Maybe if we show some compassion to the people who want to kill us, they will decide they like us and not want to hurt us anymore. We want all these third world countries to see us as equals. We do not want the rest of the world to see America as special.
Are you for real? Nothing you said makes any sense. What about making the Catholic Church offer contraception? Does it seem right to have government interfere in church's business?
Of course it is right. We want the government to have control of everything. Church is a threat to our goals of socialism. If people believed in a higher power other than the state, we would be in trouble. We need people to believe there is no higher power than government. As for the contraception laws, we could really care less whether people use them or not. In fact, we prefer that they did not use them. Less contraception means more children, which means people have less money and are more dependent on the government. We could care less about the contraception. It is a matter of principle. We wanted to show the Catholic Church and the American people that we are the highest authority, and therefore the church has no real power. When people lose faith in their church, they stop going. Without a higher power to turn to, people are much easier to control.
Why are you taking people's guns from them? Don't you feel these school shootings are the fault of the shooter and not the gun?
Look, we know it's not the gun's fault. Also, we know by adding more gun control will have no effect on school shootings. Anyone who is willing to shoot up a school is not going to be worried about whether they acquire a gun legally or not. In fact, they probably wouldn't go through legal means anyways, because they would not want to draw attention to themselves before they actually committed the crime. The shootings are actually an excuse for a higher goal.
And what goal is that?
By people losing their guns, they are not able to start a rebellion. Once we have fully pushed for socialism, there is going to be some backlash with the American people. They may even want to form a militia and revolt. However, if we take all their guns before that, then what are they going to use to revolt with? Their fingers. So, by taking away the guns, we will have less resistance on the road to communism.
Wow,